For the information of everyone, since our subject is Advanced Topics in College Algebra, please take note that this subject is a 3-unit course. Okay, so this actually covers the study of sets, meron tayong complex numbers, functions, theory of equations, siguro familiar na kayo or naririnig-rinig nyo na to dati. We also have the progressions, binomial theorem, di ba? Familiar kayo dyan. Inequalities, meron tayong mga partial fractions, matrices and determinants. Ito yung madalas na lumalabas sa board exams. Ratio and proportion, and variation. Okay, so usually hindi na kasi ito inaabot nung old na curriculum natin dati, yun sa Math 1A, kung maaalala ninyo. Kaya meron tayong second part nung math na yun. That is why we have the Math 1B. Okay, but don't worry kasi susubukan nating i-cover lahat ng iyon para na rin ma-prepare kayo for the board exam. So parang review na nga itong magiging sessions natin dito. Okay, so without further ado, we now proceed to the overview of the topics na i-cover natin dito sa Math 1B. Okay, so for the first part, iti-discuss ko sa inyo yung sets, the set of complex numbers, relations, functions, and graphs, and polynomial functions. Pag sinabi natin na set, so naturally kasi 'di ba nagka-classify tayo ng items and we tend to group them, 'di ba? Parang nagka-create tayo ng sets depende sa kanilang classification, depende sa kung ano yung type nila. Okay? And also, may mga instances na nag-overlap yung mga groupings na yon. Kasi malay natin yung group A, meron pala itong similarities with with some of the items from the group B. Okay? So yung mga yun kasi, saan ba natin nagagamit or bakit ba tayo nagkakaroon ng pag-aaral ng mga sets na yan? Or why do we even have to study the set theory? It is because it is important later on to understand the relationships between these groups and to further analyze those data. So for the set, it is basically a collection of distinct objects. Say for example, we have a set of tools. Specifically, we have a group of wrenches here. Okay? Number one, nakaklasify natin sila because they are all wrenches. Kahit magkakaiba sila ng sizes, say 30 millimeters, 25, 20 millimeters, and so on, kahit magkakaiba sila, they are still under the name or let's say the classification wrench. Okay? Kaya tinatawag natin sila na set. Okay? Also, pwede rin natin i-consider na set yung itong books na to. If you are fan or if you are familiar with Harry Potter, you could say that this is a set of books. Specifically, a set of Harry Potter books. Okay? This is actually the series. Kaya considered sila na collection of distinct objects kasi meron silang similarities. And take note that a set can be defined by describing the contents. Tungkol saan ba or ano ba yung dinidescribe ng mga laman na yon. Or you can also define a set by listing the elements of the set. Yung elements na yon, i-discuss natin mamaya, but those elements will be listed using the curly brackets. Or kung makikita ninyo dyan sa presentation, these are the curly brackets. So some references call these as braces. Okay, so curly brackets or braces, parehas lang sila, basta ito yung gagamitin natin. Okay, since I have mentioned the term elements, i-define din natin yung elements. So these are the basics of set theory. So pag sinabi natin elements, ito naman yung mga objects or entities in a set. Or kumbaga, ito na yung specific na laman ng mga set. Ano ba yung sa group of wrenches kanina? Ano ba yung mga specific na pangalan ng bawat tool na yon? So actually, nabanggit ko na kanina, meron tayong according to size. Pwedeng 20 millimeters, 25 millimeters, 30 millimeters, and so on. So yun yung elements ng isang set. Okay, and for the series of books earlier, pwede ninyong i-classify yung books or pwede ninyong pangalanan yung books according to their title. Okay, provided na Harry Potter books sila. Para lang ma-describe ninyo yung set of books earlier. Okay, and then we have another note here for letter E. In that manner, ng pagsusulat, this is actually the symbol that indicates that a specific element belongs to a set. Okay, tandaan niyo yung mga symbols dito, dito sa Math 1B. Medyo critical tayo pagdating sa pagsusulat ng mga yun nga, symbols, especially in our statements or equations. Yan, so be very careful lang. For example, meron tayong small letter A dito. Simulan ko lang dito sa portion na to. Small letter A, and then that symbol of element, and then capital letter A. So ano ba ang ibig sabihin yan? It only means that A, small letter A, is an element of set capital letter A. Okay? So take note of this one. Kapag small letters, ang tinutukoy nito elements. Pero kapag capital letters, they refer to the sets. Okay? Para mas madaling tandaan, yung set kasi 'di ba, parang yun yung main group. So ibig sabihin parang mas malaki, so ibig sabihin capital letters. And then yung laman or what comprises that big letter will be the small letters later on. Okay, 'di ba? Mas madaling tandaan. Pag mas malaki yung group, then that would be the set. And then for smaller letters, yun naman yung elements or what comprises that set. Okay, and then for the next example here, meron tayong still small letter A and then yung E na merong slash that just means it is not an element of set A. Or kumbaga raw, yung small letter A, hindi ito included sa set capital letter A. Okay, but later on, hindi na ninyo kailangang sabihin na capital letter A, small letter A, basta nakasulat sila in their proper formats. A few more examples are here. So, dito sa first one, some examples of sets are defined by describing the contents. Number one, the set of even numbers. So, this is actually a description already of the contents of a set. Alam mo naman kung ano ang even numbers, so kapag i-plug in mo yan or kumbaga pinagsama-sama mo yan sa isang grupo, mako-consider mo ito na set of even numbers. Also, or I'm so sorry, that is a typographical error. That should be number 2, itong portion na to. The set of all colors used in resistor color coding. So kung maaalala pa ninyo dun sa physics, meron tayong specific colors na ginagamit. So if you can identify all of them and then pinagsama-sama mo sila sa isang grupo, then you can consider them as a set. Okay? And that is how you describe a particular set. Now, let's try to talk about the elements. Some examples of sets are defined by listing down the elements of the set. Ano ba yung sinasabi nating elements kanina? Yun na yung specific na laman ng mga grupo or ng mga sets. So, number 1, parang sinasagot lang natin itong example sa taas. Sabi dito, the set of even numbers. So, with the use of your curly brackets or what we call the braces, pwede nating ipasok doon lahat ng, hindi naman sa lahat siguro, just a few numbers that will represent even numbers. So, naglagay ako dyan ng 2, 4, 6, 10, and 20. This group is true for the description, the set of even numbers, kasi lahat naman sila ay even numbers. Okay? Pero kung mapapansin ninyo, 5 even numbers lang yan. Sabi kasi rito, the set of even numbers. Hindi naman sinabi na set of all even numbers. Kung nakalagay dyan na all even numbers, then you would expect that this portion, nakikita ba dyan yung cursor ko? Ayan, that this portion will extend infinitely. Okay? Kasi 'di ba sobrang dami nating even numbers. And later on, ituturo ko sa inyo kung ano ang mangyayari kung meron tayong infinite numbers na ilalagay doon sa set. Okay? But this is just the answer to the set of even numbers. 5 items lang. And the second one, sabi rito, the set of all colors used in resistor color coding. So if you're going to recall the colors used in our resistor bands, meron tayong black, brown, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, violet, gray, white, gold, and silver. So kung mapapansin ninyo, all yung nilagay natin dyan, and then kailangan pala dun sa elements natin, by listing them down, nakalista rin lahat. Okay? And basically, their separation is by the use of a comma. And finally, para makonsider sila na set, gagamit tayo ng braces or the curly brackets na tinatawag natin. Now, let's try to proceed to the next portion na kailangan ninyong matandaan or kailangan ninyong malaman pagdating sa sets. Okay? Meron tayong dalawang types or dalawang ways for set notation or kung paano ba natin i-represent or isusulat ang mga sets na yan. The first method is what we call the roster notation, or we also call that the listing method. And then the other one is builder notation, that is also called as rule method for other references, and usually it is the statement method. So yung una, yung tinatawag natin na roster notation or the listing method. So basically, the elements here are enumerated or kumbaga nakalista nga lang. Examples. Ito, di ba? Sabi ko kapag capital letters, it represent or they represent the sets. So A is a set that is composed of 1, 2, 3, and 4. It is a set kasi enclosed ito ng braces and separated yung elements by commas. Yung next example is set B, wherein the elements are small letters A, B, C, D, and E. And lastly, capital letter C or the set C is composed of the neutron, electron, and proton. So kung mapapansin ninyo, hindi lang basta numbers, hindi lang laging letters yung mga elements, but you can use any elements available. Basta, dinidescribe nila or kasama sila doon sa set natin. Yung examples nga natin kanina, di ba? Wrenches and books. So, ibig sabihin, maraming pwedeng gawing elements para sa mga sets. Okay? And let's try to apply this, itong example na to, yung mga nakalista dyan na elements sa pamamagitan ng second method. Okay? Paano raw kung ita-transform natin yung mga listed elements na yan into a statement method? Okay, yung statement method natin, builder notation or the rule method, is simply having the properties which must be satisfied by all elements of the set and they are specified. Okay, yung una, okay, balikan lang natin to. Yung letter A dito or yung set A natin dyan, tandaan nyo lang, that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. So, yung kaakibat nito or its equivalent, notation using the statement method is set A is a set of all elements of X. Okay, let's say this is the variable for all of the elements of set A such that X is a positive integer less than 5. Okay, I repeat, set A is a set of all elements of X such that, itong vertical line na to, X is a positive integer less than 5. Okay? Since positive integer naman yan, ibig sabihin that's beyond sa ating number line, di ba? That's beyond 0 and that is less than 5. So, ibig sabihin, tama ito kasi yung elements na nilista natin kanina is 1, 2, 3, and 4 lang naman. Okay? So, yun yung exact equivalent nito pagdating sa statement method. Another example, ano ba yung elements natin? Sa set B naman, meron tayong A, B, C, D, and E. Okay, so let's see kung ano ang magiging equivalent niyan pagdating sa statement method. Sa statement method naman, ito yung kanyang proper representation. So set B is a set of all elements of X such that X is any of the first 5 letters of the English alphabet. Okay, and that is correct or this statement, this notation is true kasi ang ginamit naman natin na elements doon ay A, B, C, D, and E. So I hope nasusundan yung part na yun na it is very critical to describe or use the statement method kasi kailangan i-describe mo yung elements na ng exact we have set C now is the neutron, electron, and proton. So ano ba yung pang-describe natin sa tatlong words na yun? So basically, set C is a set of all elements of X such that X is a fundamental particle in an atom. So syempre, ano ba yung basic na components ng isang atom? We only have the three. So for the types of sets, meron lang tayong 8 na dapat tandaan. Number 1 is the finite set. We have the infinite set, unit set, empty or null set, the subset of a given set, universal set, sample space, okay? So, dapat merong slash dito or word na or. And then, equal sets, and finally, the equivalent sets. The first one is the finite set. So, basically, this set is when the elements are countable or a set with a limited number of elements. So, yung mga binigay kong examples kanina, parang karamihan doon, finite set. Meron tayong tinatawag na limit. Lalo na yung kanina, integer, positive integer that is less than 5. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, ang mga sagot mo lang would be 1, 2, 3, and 4. Wala nang iba. Kasi wala naman ng ibang positive integers na less than 5. Okay? Kaya, tinatawag natin sila na finite sets. Example, for set E, it says here that it is a set of possible outcomes of a fair die when tossed. Okay, so you know that for a die, di ba kapag binato mo yan sa ere and then you would expect that it would land on a flat surface, ilan ba yung ine-expect mo na outcomes, di ba? Taking into consideration na flat surface yung lalapagan nito, hindi siguro sa gilid-gilid lang, baka kasi doon sa vertex ng cube. 'Di ba? Cube kasi yung die natin, 'di ba? So kapag tumayo yan siguro sa vertex, then hindi yon considered as the regular outcome. So ang ina-expect lang natin dito sa set na to is yung regular possible outcome. Okay? So ibig sabihin, since cube iyon, ang cube ay may 6 na faces, therefore the possible outcomes will just be 6. Okay, so if you're going to write this, or let's say give the notation for this example, number 1, gamit tayo ng listing method. You know that for the set E, its elements would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, di ba kasi 6 lang yung possible outcomes natin. And kung tinanong ka naman kung gawin mo raw ito or use the notation using rule method, then you would be using this one. Okay? That set E is a set of all elements of E such that E is an outcome when a fair die is tossed. Okay? Sabi ko nga sa inyo, kapag statement method yung ginagamit natin, be very careful with the words na ginagamit. Dapat exact palagi yan. Possible outcomes, 'di ba? So ibig sabihin hindi ka mag-go beyond 6 kasi wala naman tayong 7th phase, and we would not go below 6 kasi ibig sabihin dinidisregard mo yung isa na outcome. Hindi ganun. Dapat i-consider natin lahat ng possible outcomes. Next one is the infinite set. This is a set whose elements are not countable, or this is a set with no last element. So kung maaalala ninyo yung sinabi ko kanina, the set of even numbers. Diba? Sinabi ko kanina, even numbers lang naman yan. So, nag-enumerate lang sila ng elements na even numbers. Pero kapag nilagyan yan ng set of all even numbers, then matatawag mo na infinite set ito. Because you would not end in 20, but you have to go, infinitely. Kasi 'di ba, marami tayong even numbers. Okay? Kaya dapat meron tayong special na gagawin dito. Ang ginagawa lang usually kapag infinite yung elements, this is 2, 4, 6. So syempre dapat may 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. And then if you want to end it at 20, pwede kang magsulat dyan ng comma, and then maglagay ka ng 3 dots. Okay, and then you enclose it with the closing curly bracket or brace. Okay? Kapag meron na yung tatlong dot doon, it just shows that the elements are infinite. Okay? Kasi nga, ang tinatry natin na i-describe dyan na set ay all. So another example here is when set R is an element of or has elements of real numbers. 'Di ba kung i-recall ninyo yung definition natin ng real numbers, it is composed of the natural numbers. Ano ba yung natural numbers natin? Meron tayong counting numbers from 1, 2, 3, 4, and beyond. Also, aside from those counting numbers, meron din tayong integers. Yung integers natin, di ba, all natural numbers, so yung mga 1, 2, 3, 4, lalagyan mo sila ng negative. Tapos, maliban sa mga negative na yon, isasama mo rin yung zero. So, ibig sabihin pala, negative side, the zero, plus the positive side shows you an infinite number of elements. Okay? So, sa sobrang dami nila, hindi ka matatapos na mag-list down dyan. Okay? So, you are not going to use the listing method, but you can use or you can resort to the use of statement method. Okay? Mas madali. Wala naman silang pinagkaiba kasi dinidescribe mo nga yung set na ibinigay dun sa ating example. And the final answer for that is this notation. So set R is a set of all elements of X such that X is a real number. Okay? Basta sinabing real number, automatic na yan na from negative, zero, and then yung positive. Sobrang dami kasi nun. Another type of set is what we call the unit set. So from the term unit, 'di ba parang iisa lang. So this is basically a set containing only one element. So examples, etong set A natin, meron lang itong nag-iisang element na small letter A. Also, pwede rin itong set B considered as a unit set. Why? Because as you can see here, set B is a set of all elements of X such that X minus 2 is equal to 0. Okay? Or it just shows that the element is 2. Set C. So set C naman, naka-statement method pa rin tayo. Isa lang naman yung biological mother natin. That is why this is a considered a unit set. Empty or null set. So yung kanina, if it contains only one element, meron naman tayong mga sets na it is satisfied or they are satisfied by no element at all. Examples. This one, it is actually an empty set. Obviously naman, wala tayong nakalagay na element sa loob ng brackets for the set A. Another example is set B. So set B is a set of all elements of X such that X is an even number ending in 1. Okay? Although naka-statement method yan, kapag inintindi mo yung sinasabi nito, obviously, wala naman tayong even number na nag-end sa 1. That is why, if you are going to satisfy that statement, wala tayong element na mailalagay dyan sa B. So, ibig sabihin pala, si B ay isa ring empty or null set. So, pwede mong gamitin din yung notation gaya kay set A. Fifth type of set is the subset of a given set. So, if every element of A is an element of S, then A, as you can see, mapapansin nyo, nakikita nyo ba yung symbol dyan? Or is it too small? Okay, yung parang letter C dyan with an underline is what we call the subset symbol. Okay, so pag binasa mo yan, set A is a subset of S. Okay, or ang ibig sabihin kasi ng subset is every element of A is within the element of S. Okay, and then we also have another type of subset and we call it as the proper subset. So sabi rito, B is a proper subset of A if every element of B is in A. And if there is at least one element of A which is not in B, then B, yung C naman dyan, or parang C na walang underline, that is read as proper subset. So B is a proper subset of A. And so para mas maintindihan ninyo, let's have examples. Number 1, set A. Ang set A ay may elements na 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Ang set B, meron lang itong 1, 4, and 7. So in conclusion, if you're gonna make use of the subsets of a given set, B is a proper subset of A. So, paano natin nasabi na proper subset? Pag proper subset kasi, every element of B, ito, is in A. Tama ba? Every element, so lahat nito, 1, 4, 7, ay nasa A. It is true because it has, or A has 1, has 4, and meron din itong 7. So, I repeat, every element of B is in set A. Okay? However, meron tayong additional na statement dyan. If every element of B is in A, however, A has more elements. Okay? Kaya ang ginagamit natin dyan is proper subset. Lahat ng nasa B ay nasa A, yun nga lang, meron pang additional si A. Maliban sa 1, 4, 7, meron pa itong 2, 3, 5, and 6. Ayan. Parang ano lang, to conclude this one, lahat ng elements ng B nasa A and A has more. Parang ganun. And then another example. So let's say set A is composed of A, B, C, D. Ganon din naman si set B na meron itong A, B, C, and D. And then we have another set here, set C, na meron lang na A, B, and C. So what can we conclude about these sets using the subset? Ito. We start with the sets A and B. Set A, tandaan ninyo itong C with an underline is subset. Kapag walang underline, it is a proper subset. Yan. So, A is a subset of B. Bakit? Kasi ang A or ang lahat ng elements ng A ay makikita sa B. Also, B is a subset of A. Kasi lahat ng elements ng B makikita sa A. Yan, that's the first conclusion. Another one, for C and A. Yung C, ito, ABC. And then A is ABCD. Conclusion, C is a proper subset of A. Proper subset kasi meron ngang ABC si A, meron pa naman siyang additional or meron siyang extra, kumbaga. Kaya ang gagamitin lang natin is proper subset, not the one with an underline. So, sana klaro tayo doon. And then, what about the relationship between set C and B? Kapag set C naman, C is a proper subset of B kasi ganun din. Yung ABC makikita mo sa A, pero yung ABC makikita mo sa B, however, B has more. Meron pa siyang D. Kaya proper subset lang yung symbol na ginagamit natin. And finally, meron din tayong pwedeng mai-conclude sa A and A to C and B to C. Yung kabaliktaran naman, A is not a proper subset of C kasi, 'di ba? Ang A, B, C, D ay hindi mo makikita lahat sa C. Ganon din naman si B, ang A, B, C, D ay hindi mo makikita sa elements ni C. Ayan, so I think this is one of the tricky parts pagdating sa types ng mga sets, pero pag na-practice nyo itong mga to, madali naman nang intindihin. Okay, just don't be confused pagdating sa proper subset at saka yung subset. Yan, so I have included examples, sana naintindihan ninyo. And sixth type of set, we have the universal set or sample space. So the universal set is the set containing all the possible elements of a given condition. So parang familiar na to kanina yung sa die, 'di ba? Possible elements of a given condition or possible outcomes for that situation. Also, universal set is the general set or the best set in a discussion. It is the set of all possible outcomes or elements of a given statistical experiment, and it is usually denoted by capital letter S or U. Sample points, these are the elements or the outcome of a given sample space. So examples. Number one, on tossing a coin. Provided na ang lalapagan ng coins natin ay horizontal surface, then you would expect na ang possible outcomes lang natin ay dalawa. Okay? Napaka bihira naman kasi na tumayo yung coins doon sa kanyang thin edge. Okay? So, doon lang tayo sa circular basis nito. So, on tossing a coin, set S is uh, composed of the elements H and T, provided that H and T represents the head and then the tail. Okay, so ibig sabihin, two possible outcomes lang tayo, two lang yung elements ng set na yan. Okay, and then another example is, yung nasabi ko nga kanina, on tossing a die. So, alam niyo na ang sagot dito na ang possible outcomes lang for that set S would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Or 6 elements lang all in all. Yan. So, universal set or sample space. So, number 7 gives you the equal sets. Sinabi natin na equal sets, two sets are equal if and only if the elements of one set A are also the elements of the other set B or vice versa. Example, set A is composed of A, B, C, D, 1, 2. Si set B naman, 1A, B, 2C, D. Our conclusion would be set A is equal to set B. Why? Because all of the elements are the same. The only difference is the arrangement. And that arrangement is being disregarded kapag nagko-consider tayo ng equal sets. Okay? Wala namang pakialam yun kasi same naman yung values na ibinibigay. A, B, C, D, 1, and 2. That is why the conclusion is B or A is equal to B or vice versa, B is equal to A. And finally, meron tayong tinatawag na equivalent sets. So, wag sana kami ma-confuse dun sa dalawang types, equal sets and equivalent sets. Okay, the only difference or para ma-distinguish nitong equivalent sets, it is or it refers to the cardinalities of two sets. They should be the same. Pag sinabi natin na cardinalities, it is basically the number of elements. Okay? Kung apat yung elements mo sa A, dapat apat din yung elements mo dun sa B if you are trying to compare it to another set B. So, for example, set A. Ang set A natin ay may elements na 1, 2, and 6. Another set is given, set B, and it is composed of 16, 17, and 23. So, although they have different values, meron silang parehas na number of elements. And obviously, that is 3. Okay, so ibig sabihin, kung may tatlong elements si A, may tatlong elements si B, kahit magkakaiba sila ng values, pwede silang ma-classify as equivalent sets because their cardinalities, social no? Their cardinalities are basically the number of elements in those sets are the same. Ayun lang naman. So, since the cardinality of A is equal to 3, the cardinality of B is equal to 3, then you can conclude that A and B are equivalent sets. Ayun. So, do you have any questions? If you do not have any more questions, then thank you for listening for this session and see you guys on Monday. So, goodbye everyone. Sa inyong dalawa, goodbye.